afternoon. My last video was a film photo walk when I was in my time in Marrakesh, Morocco, and I really seemed to enjoy that, and I thought today I'll do the same here in my hometown of Glasgow. It's not just any photo walk, because today I'm going to be digging out the first camera that I ever got. It was a camera that was passed down to me by my dad, who luckily for me was also a photographer as a hobby. And it's a camera that I'm really pleased to say is in high circulation today, and that is the Fujifilm X100. Let's get started. This is a very old model of camera I'm using. It's certainly not one of the more kind of high-tech versions of the X100 you get nowadays. Like on the camera itself, all I have is the aperture ring and the shutter speed and a small exposure button as well at the end there. I don't even have the ISO button trigger here to kind of dial to adjust that as I go along. I'll show you how I navigate that in just a second. But this is the first camera I ever got, and as for myself, like, I never went to college and never studied photography. So when it came to my time to get a new camera, I knew nothing about the basic principles of cameras functions. I knew nothing about the relationship between aperture, shutter speed and ISO. So I was so new to that. I just needed a kind of classic point and shoot camera to kind of get me started. And this camera was perfect for that. Such a lightweight camera that literally you can just pick up, point and shoot, learn as you go along camera, and I'll show you how it has helped me so much and has shaped the style of photography which I continue to make to this day. So I'll just show you what it is I'm working with here. So like I said, on my X100 you can see I have the aperture ring here where it normally would be around the lens. I've also got the shutter speed and an exposure dial here, but you'll notice at the top here there is no ISO trigger. And to do that, for me to change the ISO, and this is where it becomes a bit of a nuisance and an annoyance and a hassle, I need to go through menu, select ISO again, and you can see here I can change the ISO by just scrolling up and down and selecting my appropriate ISO number, and then to come out of this I have to go back again, so that becomes a bit of a hassle when you're working somewhere where the light is constantly changing. So yes, the camera isn't perfect. There are some flaws to it that certainly became a hindrance when I was using it mostly, but certainly for me, like, I never went to college, I never studied photography, at least from a full-time perspective. So when it came to me to transfer from taking photos from my phone onto an actual camera, I was lost. I didn't really appreciate or understand fully the relationship between the aperture, ISO and shutter speed. Never really understood any technical aspects of cameras, so I needed a real easy, nimble point and shoot camera, and this X100 really did help me with that so much. It was a great compound camera that was so lightweight to use, to carry around, and it really did help shape me so much nowadays that I really do appreciate, look back and think that was the perfect camera. Again, only for my own personal opinion, is a great camera for beginners. 8mm lens that I can attach onto the fixed lens, but I don't actually clip it on like I would normal cameras. I have to actually screw it on, like so. It stays on like that. So it does kind of show its age that, you know, I really doubt you find many cameras nowadays that would do something like this. Another limitation of this X100 is that by looking at the back of the camera, I can't actually see. So this shows me just what the camera sees right now, but I won't see how exposed the photo is until after I take it. So if I take this photo here, so that one has come out actually alright, but let's say I didn't have my settings already configured. Let me just kind of push this up. So let me kind of just push this up to roughly, so I've really opened the aperture to make it kind of overexposed. So right now it looks exactly the same as it did before when it's perfectly exposed. And there you go, you can see it's now a lot more highly exposed. So I wouldn't really know that. You can see just about there at the top left how you have to really measure where it shows you it's gone above highly exposed, so that is kind of your metric. But again, sometimes depending on how you like to expose your photos, if you someone like to overexpose or underexpose, you won't know until after you've actually took the actual photo how exposed it actually is. And this probably brings me on to what I would say is the biggest tip I can give from this video, is that if you are like me and you're looking to transfer onto your first ever camera, or you're just looking to maybe get a new camera, is if you're in really a beginner kind of mindset, keep it simple. Don't get something overly convoluted or overly technical. Get yourself a classic little wee bare minimum camera. The simplicity is what drew me to this X100, a great point and shoot camera, because if you're going to get yourself, you could get yourself one of those really technical and really fancy cameras out of there that cost about £2,000 to get. It could have a million features on it, but you're really only going to need at least 1% of those, or a fraction of it, and you could have yourself a camera that's cost you an arm and a leg and you're only really using a fraction of its capabilities. So really is, keep it simple, learn the basics, and once you've got a bit of momentum and once you've really kind of understood the craft a bit more, then you can look to upgrade to get something a bit better, or something, maybe not necessarily better, that was the wrong word, maybe something a little bit more advanced, something that you can think really will help you, and something that help further your ability if you really find what kind of style you want to create. With that, we'll wrap it up there. I'd like to say thank you again so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all again very soon.